Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester, and today, good people, the NHS, the National Health Service. Yes, that. Now, Mumsnet. Mumsnet was a buzz only yesterday with news of an advert that has appeared in the job listings section of the NHSjobs.com for a job in Nottinghamshire with Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust in the psychology department. I'm getting more and more confused about all this. I put up a video yesterday asking about what the hell is going on, and I haven't seen many responses to it, to be honest, because cast this interview on Radio 4 came across as somewhat problematic. However, there were some excellent points made on Mumsnet, not least one of them being that Cass was talking about a study, not a clinical trial. Now, what is the differentiation in the argot, the language of the individuals that Cass is involved with? The difference between a study and a clinical trial. I've got a funny feeling there's a huge difference between those two things, and that the clinical trial hasn't started yet because it's not got ethical approval. And I think the study is foreshadowing the clinical trial. And the more people that go into the study, the more likely they are to not have the trial. Now, that's my current thinking. However, you have a mull about that, and we're going to go through this morning, and just this morning, we're going to go through this now. It's not morning to everybody everywhere. We're going to go through this now, and I'm going to comment on a few bits and bobs, but there is the communication on this, I have to say, is uniformly poor. If there is a huge difference between a study and clinical trial, the average punter, me, you, isn't going to understand that difference unless it's explained to us. It's extraordinary, isn't it? Because I was doing a piece this morning about trust in science and also the need for clear and concise communication that is truthful. So I think that there's something here about communication that needs to be looked at. What is the difference between a study and a clinical trial in medical terms, in the terms couched in the argot of medicine, in this particular case, gender medicine, which is a misnomer. So this job advert came up. Let's have a look at it. Before we do, come and be a warrior teacher. Buy me a coffee if you can help me keep going. You know, if you like seeing me doing this stuff, and if you want to keep me going, buy me a coffee or become a warrior teacher. Send me a super thanks, and that would be really, really helpful. Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust, clinical psychologist, NHS AFC, Band A8. Job overview. Now, it says here, that's 60 grand, by the way. Due to the development of a new young people's gender service, there is an exciting opportunity for a clinical psychologist, Band 8A, to join the Nottingham Young People's Gender Service. At the forefront of delivering care and support to young patients, you will receive in-depth training and clinical supervision whilst working with our experienced nurses and MDT within a forward-thinking and supportive NHS trust. NYGS, again, Nottingham Young People's Gender Service, are recruiting to a new team comprising consultant psychiatrists, paediatrics, advanced clinical practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, psychologists, and research assistants. You will have the opportunity to work with a progressive team leading the way nationally and internationally, right, in children and young people's transgender health. I've got a problem with most of this already, and I'm sure you have too. There's no such thing as transgender health. The whole field is a nonsense. However, you've got to meet you got to meet the rubber where it meets the road, I suppose, or meet the people where they are. It is a multidisciplinary service offering psychological support to young people on the gender-affirming medical pathway, and there's the real worrying bit. But it's not saying what it appears to say. That's what I'm questioning here. And so it's a multidisciplinary service offering psychological support to young people on the gender-affirming medical pathway. Now, let's be clear here. Offering psychological support. It's saying this is to young people on the gender-affirming medical pathway. So these young people are already on it. They've already been put through this nonsense. So they're saying we're offering psychological support. It doesn't mention anywhere anything about gender-affirming, except to say that it's for people who are on that pathway, which still exists despite the progress we've made, but may not continue forward. Does that make sense? So right. So we've got to be careful here about understanding what's being said, I think. I hope. So offering psychological support to young people on the gender-affirming medical pathway and looked after by the adolescent endocrinologist service. Some of them will be waiting to or prescribed hormone blockers or hormones by the NHS following an assessment by GIDS. So they're talking about, here's our client bank. This is who you're going to be working with. And we are offering psychological support. Right? So we have to be careful around this, I think. I mean, you'll let me know as you do in the comments, but there's something here. Now, main duties on the job, right? The new service will provide multidisciplinary care and support to young people aged from 11 to and including 17-year-olds who are about to receive or currently receive gender-affirming medical treatment from the Specialist Pediatric Endocrinology Service, which is the endocrinology arm of the Gender Identity Development Service, which will be closing on the 31st of March 2024. Again, how do we read this? How do we read this? Are about to receive or currently receiving. So again, are they ensuring that they've got those that are going to be affected within their criteria so that they can bring them into the psychological help and the new service, which in effect is replacing GIDS, the new service, which would in effect then begin ending this nonsense of puberty blockers and hormones. Now, that's possibly what's happening. And in light of the interview on Radio 4 by Lady Cass, one wonders, there's as many people as possible going into the study. It's a study, right? So I think this is where we're getting, I think it's possible we're getting it wrong. And please tell me what you think. The study is going to show that nobody needs any of it. That's my forecast. That's my forecast, is that nobody needs any of it, that there is absolutely no excuse for giving young people hormones or puberty blockers. In which case, the clinical trial, which probably won't get ethical approval at any rate, will never go ahead. Now, is that what's happening? I'm being Mr. Sunshine today. Is that what's happening? What do you think? Is that what's happening? Have a look. Go and read. The new service will work to NHS England's published interim service specification for specialist gender incongruent services for children and young people. Now, that's new. They've changed it since Cass. It will sit within the established network which provides the Nottingham Centre, the East of England Gender Service and linked clinic activity with Indigo Gender Service and the linked clinic activity with Sussex Gender Service. My concern about the Indigo Gender Service is that that's run by a bunch of LGBTQ people. But they were there before and they're going to be there now by the look of it. Why? And how long are they going to remain there? And what influence will they have? So there's some interesting questions to be answered there. Team Knots HC compromises over 11,000 dedicated colleagues who make a difference every day. We deliver intellectual disability, mental health, community health, forensic and offender healthcare services across Nottinghamshire. Remember, this is a job application. This is like an advert for a job. One of the largest mental health trusts. So they're just telling people about what they're doing. The worrying one is we offer a variety of employee-led staff networks, including equality, diversity and inclusion groups, the Groups Champion Network, the Freedom to Speak Up Network, the Health and Wellbeing Champions Network. I mean, this all needs to end. Why the NHS? It's nothing to do with this, really. So that's just them selling themselves, right? Detailed job description and main responsibilities. This is where it gets interesting. The post holder is an experienced clinical psychologist and will be required to undertake. Doesn't make any sense. The post holder will undertake psychological assessments and therapeutic work, including individual and group therapy work with their families, consultation to other staff members. This is so badly written. Supervision and training of others, clinically relevant research, audit, and specific roles that will support the consultant clinical. Right. So in other words, what they're saying is you will undertake psychological assessments and therapeutic work. It doesn't mention anything else. The role will be an integral part of the multidisciplinary team. Right. Person spec. Qualifications. Psychology degree or equivalent conferring GPC status. Doctoral level qualification in clinical psychology or the equivalent for those trained prior to 1996. Offering various statements in the British Psychological Society accreditations. PG Cert or PG Dip in gender identity medicine. What the hell is that? And why does it exist? Further training in additional psychological therapy models. Okay, again, the word psychological. Further post-qualification training. This is standard stuff, most of that. Further training, experience of providing supervision. Essential criteria of working psychologically with gender diverse people. And of interventions with individuals and care systems, not specifically in a gender clinic. And desirable is publication in peer-reviewed research journals. Knowledge, essential criteria, broad understanding of theories and interventions relevant to gender diverse adults and transgender healthcare. You'd expect them to have understanding of the underlying principles of management and treatment in transgender healthcare, including their international frameworks, WPATH SOC 8. Right. I think we've confused knowing that with applying it. If I was employing somebody for the new for this new service, which I think shouldn't exist in any form whatsoever, other than as a psychological service called cult intervention, you want them to know about how bad WPATH is. It's getting its ass kicked in a court in America as we speak. You want them to know how bad it was. So you want somebody who's really understanding of how awful WPATH are. Not only that, they want them to have a doctoral level knowledge of research design and methodology. This is so that they can tighten up what's going on. Critical awareness of current themes, interesting, in transgender healthcare. Knowledge of the principal models of care. Knowledge of the principal models. So again, you've got to know multiple models. This is not ideological. This is not ideological. Experience in providing transgender healthcare, including psychological assessments, recommendations for gender-affirming treatment, and psychological therapies. Again, this is just knowledge you would expect them to have, regardless of what their personal ideological bent was. But it may well be that the requirement to know so much of it would spot people that were ideologically captured. Be able to demonstrate an understanding of and commitment to the trust, equality, and that's just rubbish about equality and diversity. So the skills, essential criteria, formulation of sources of psychological distress in gender diverse people, therapeutic interventions, and presentation skills. Therapeutic interventions. Excellent written English, communication, able to engage constructively. All the stuff you'd expect. And then at the bottom, they've got use of psychometric test equipment. Oh, God help us. What are they going to do? Tell them which Star Wars character they are, right? Or which, Avengers character they are. Psychometrics. Give me a break. Most of it doesn't work. Supervision, teaching, and training. A full driving license. Right. You go and have a look. I don't think we should prejudge this. Go and have a look yourselves and see what you think. Watch them by hawks. Not watch them by hawks. Watch them like hawks by all means. But there's something very good going on here, I think. And I mean, it's in some ways, it's awfully written in some ways, but cleverly written in others. In that what I think we might be seeing here is the beginnings of a body of work that will end gender medicine. It's either that or it's the beginning of a new round of something we have to fight. And right now, we don't know. We don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think this is really interesting. And I think we must wait. We must be patient. All right? But thanks to Mumsnet and the mums on Mumsnet for the information I managed to garner from you. I'll see you all soon. What am I doing today? Teaching. Got me warrior teachers. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.